Nice chilly day. Summer just all just checked out, I guess. Hi everybody, my name is Hope McCutcheon and I represent Ce-2, Charlottesville Business Innovation Council, and there are a couple of organizations I'll talk about in a second. Does this sound okay? You guys can hear me and everything's not echoing? Okay. Raise your hand if this is your first time attending Ce-2. Awesome. So glad to have you. Welcome. Definitely. I'd love to hear how you heard about it. But this event, Charlottesville Entrepreneurs and Espresso, has been going on since 2015. So we're very proud of that through the pandemic, we sustained here online for a couple years. We're very grateful to the Code Building, to Codebase for hosting us as we came back into the live session. This event is put on by a number of organizations: Ce-2, Charlottesville Business Innovation Council, CIC, the Community Investment Collaborative, SBDC, Small Business Development Center, and Sponsor Your Coffee is sponsored by the Batten Institute at UVA, as well as Watermark Design, and of course the Code Building has been a huge supporter. So lots of organizations making this an event that we love. And so the structure is we have 2 speakers every month. We meet January through November. We do take off in December, so if you come next month, you'll be on your own. Good practice, I guess. We have an early stage speaker, and then we have a seasoned entrepreneur that shares their crash and learn stories. So that's the agenda. We also do announcements at the end. I'll talk about that and what that looks like. But I know there were some questions yesterday on whether or not we are going to hold this event due to some of the tragic circumstances that happened at UVA. And so we thought it would be appropriate to have a moment of silence to honor those who were impacted by yesterday's event. And so if we can just take a minute. Thank you. And again, we're very grateful to be here in person. And let's go ahead and get started. And I am definitely excited. I'm always excited to hear from the entrepreneurs that share. But Daniel, who I'm going to bring up first, was actually, I think, a first-time attendee at Ce-2 last month. And that is oftentimes how we select speakers, is we just have the opportunity to meet you and hear about what you're doing. So, last time I should be waiting up. Okay, so a little bit about Daniel and U-Train. So Daniel grew up, or was born in New York, but came down to Charlottesville and has pretty much grown up here, gone to a couple of schools, high schools and whatnot here in Charlottesville, went to Green Mountain for business management and got a certificate from Cornell. He actually played basketball professionally, internationally, right out of college. He played in Israel for a few years and then had the opportunity to do a year of training with Stefan Marbury in Beijing for a year. And then came back to Charlottesville, to the beloved Charlottesville, and started coaching basketball at Leader School, which is actually Princeton alumni. After that, or during that time, he was also running a basketball training business with Sam Dale, who's the head coach at Tandem Friends School. And during that time, they, their clientele started to grow, and they needed a system for organization. How are they going to get everyone scheduled and whatnot? So they started looking into some platforms to do that. And I realized that all the platforms out there were either very expensive, they were subscription based, or they just took such a big cut from the trainers that it just didn't make sense to them. And so that is when they went ahead and partnered up and launched U-Train to really solve all of those problems. So Daniel is going to share about U-Train. This app, this company is already in the marketplace, and they're growing right now. And so he is going to share about the company, and then he has an ask. He's going to want some advice from you guys on growing from here. So please help me welcome Daniel.
Awesome, thank you. Does this sound all right to everybody? Sound okay? Beautiful. All right, well, thank you for the intro, Hope, and thank you to everyone who puts together this event. And I'll jump right into it in the interest of time. We've got U-Train, it's the all-in-one basketball training software solution. And I've got a quick video to get us going.
Basketball training software solution. Welcome to U-Train, presenting the opportunity to be part of one of the most exciting sports software as a service companies created. U-Train. U-Train's goal is to provide the premier all-in-one basketball training software solution. Welcome to U-Train, the very first user-friendly mobile app geared specifically towards the basketball training industry. U-Train connects athletes and trainers based on location services and provides trainers the platform to seamlessly manage their training business from scheduling through payments. With websites and scheduling software creating complexities with design, upkeep, and monitoring needs, U-Train provides a simple interface designed specifically for the ever-changing needs of today's basketball trainer. After a successful beta launch partnering with global training icon Dan and Baker Basketball, U-Train had both the approval of the basketball industry and the data in order to meet the demands of one of the fastest growing industries in the country. With over 1.2 billion spent annually on basketball training, U-Train's commission per transaction model stands ready for scale. Led by a unique and exciting combination of passion and experience. CEO and professional basketball player Daniel Ginsburg and CTO, basketball star and alumni at Cornell University, Daryl Smith, backed by former D1 coach Kate Lemke as president of marketing, successful serial startup entrepreneur Joseph Tino as CFO, and brand ambassador Corey Harris, a CBA coach with over 10 years of experience in the basketball training industry. U-Train will help enhance any basketball player by giving them tools, knowledge, and resources to access a skilled trainer in their area. Join us as we position for U-Train to become the go-to platform for over 126,000 basketball trainers and millions of players in the United States today.
Great. So when I came back to Charlottesville from being international, I started a basketball training company, like Hope said. And one of the major issues that we ran into were the fees from all of the options that were on the marketplace already. So we really grew very quickly and faster than expected, from 1 client to 5 clients to 25 plus clients. And what started off as really a hobby company turned into a small business pretty quickly. And we really weren't prepared. We didn't have a system or a software or some kind of platform in place to help us manage communication with all the parents and all of the athletes and collect payments from them, keep all of the drills for all the specific kids and the things that we were doing with them in all these different places. So what we found along with ourselves is that there's this huge marketplace of trainers who don't have a platform for them to run their basketball training business efficiently without really giving up a large part of their profit. A little bit about the marketplace. The basketball training industry is really unique because there's no barrier to entry, right? So if one of you has a son or a daughter and you see me walking out and you say, hey, I would love for you to coach my child or train them. Well, then I'm a basketball trainer from that moment forward, right? And then the day that I stop, I'm no longer a basketball trainer. So it's very difficult to find the statistics on the total addressable market for the basketball trainers. So you've got 126,000 registered youth basketball trainers around the country and a question mark number of trainers who are not registered. There's a large exploding marketplace for the basketball training industry growing since 2010. Recently, basketball actually just overtook soccer as the #1 sport in the world. So booming industry, no barrier to entry, and out of the total $19.2 billion youth sports marketplace, you've got basketball at about $1.46 billion. So almost 10% of the whole youth sports marketplace is basketball training right now. In the interest of time, I'll keep moving along, but we've got a very unique team of on-court experience in the field of basketball and multiple exit entrepreneurs with lots of experience, and all of us have some type of background in the basketball space as well. So how is U-Train different? What we did is we looked at really the leader in the industry that came out in 2012 is a company called CoachUp. So what CoachUp does is they are actually a company versus a software as a service. So as a new basketball trainer, you become a CoachUp coach, and you actually wear their shirt, and you become a part of their company, and you represent them as the CoachUp coach, which was really exciting and really added to the marketplace about 5 to 7 years ago. But what CoachUp does is they then blew up into 30 plus sports. And they started in basketball, and they moved out to multiple sports, and their model is to partner with each trainer and have them be a part of the company. So they take revenue splits, they provide insurance. It's a little more thick, so to speak, than a simple software as a service that someone can either download the app for or sign up for online to use for themselves. So what we did is we attacked all the pain points that CoachUp created in the marketplace by connecting the athlete with the trainer, but then there was a large void created because they would move off of the platform so that the trainer could avoid losing the 30% revenue split that CoachUp would take from them. So you now have training sessions that are happening daily all around the country that are not part of any statistic, and what we call ghost sessions, because they are being managed through text message and phone calls and notes on paper and Venmo payments and cash. So there's a void created by CoachUp for a need for the software as a service. So we decided to attack the pain points that CoachUp created, making our platform U-Train free. So what we did is we added $1.50 transaction fee on top of the set trainer cost. And that's really our main value proposition, is that we are a free scheduling and payment processing software for the trainer. The trainer has all of the say-so on how a client will book with them. So the trainers are our target audience first, for sure. Again, you've got a $1.50 commission model per transaction, which really sets us aside from all of the subscription models and revenue split models. So we are the only transaction-based model. We're the only free software as a service for basketball at the moment. And on top of that, we are the only basketball app. So we currently are deciding to tackle our specialty in the basketball marketplace and set up shop, so to speak, in other sports and expand outward from there. I know it's a little blurry up here, but you just got a visual of the transaction fees on top of the set trainer price. So here's an example from a trainer in Gastonia, North Carolina, posting their pin on the map. And this is the information that will come up when you tap the pin on the map. It'll give you the where, the when, the time. If you tap on it, it'll give you directions to the session. And then, of course, we'll hold the money in escrow until services are rendered and money is passed along to the trainer once an hour after the session is over. So it does give the trainer and the parent or athlete a little bit of security, more so than the Venmo situation or the meet me here text message, right? You can't cancel that and get your money back as the parent or the athlete. So now you have some control. You have the ability to cancel the money that's in escrow up until an hour before the session. So it does make parents and athletes feel a little bit more secure about the session that they're heading to. There are some stories about, my trainer didn't show up or something like that. And in that case, you would have paid for a session that never happened. So we wanted to eliminate that in the marketplace. And then on the right, you just got our map, promotes visibility and localized bookings. So we want to build this out, make it much more fun, add a lot of luxury functions on there to make it more social and more like a Snapchat function, so to speak. So we can provide functionality for pickup and users who are not specifically looking for a basketball training session that they want to pay for, right? Just everyday basketball users so that we can grow our marketplace. And so here's our projected number of transactions per trainer per month. What we've done is we've divided the tier of trainers into 3 tiers. So a tier 1 trainer would be the example that I just said, where someone runs into me, I meet you, you've heard about me before, you want me to train your son or daughter. I've got 1 to 10 transactions per month. That's going to be a level 1 trainer. A level 2 trainer has some clients, probably a full-time job during the day, and is working after their full-time job with all of their clients, maybe in the afternoons or full-time on the weekends. And then you have a level 3 trainer, which is a full-time trainer who is paying all of their bills, their mortgage, maybe their family, right? They're making probably 6 figures or more through basketball training full-time. They're going to have about 100 to 240 transactions per month. So your average is 60 transactions per month at $1.50 times 12 months is $1,080 per trainer. So our first target of 1,000 trainers is $1,080,000 per year. And so we have a target of 5,000 and 30,000 trainers. A little bit about our go-to-market plan. We've got really two main avenues that we're looking to attack the marketplace. You've got both sides of the basketball training marketplace. So you've got trainers and you've got athletes. So our goal is to work with partner trainers, is what we call them, to do promotion through social media, which was very effective for us through our beta launch, which I'll get to in just a moment. But we did our beta launch about a year ago in November of last year through a partnership with Gannon Baker Basketball, who's the #1 basketball training company in the world. They travel the world and the country certifying basketball trainers in person. So they actually will have a seminar just like this, and they teach and they speak, and then each one of you would come up and demonstrate and get hands-on experience, and then you'd leave with an actual diploma of being a basketball trainer, a certified basketball trainer. So that's Gannon Baker Basketball. And our beta launch was through a partnership with them. And that announcement made some noise and buzz in the basketball community. And that was our first partner trainer. So that went really well. We had over 300 downloads in the first month through our initial launch. And on the other side, you've got the NIL. So the NIL is the new name, image, likeness marketplace laws that they just changed for high school and college athletes. So we have Kate Munke on our team, who is very familiar with a lot of the top college programs in basketball, and can reach out to those coaches, and we can provide NIL opportunities for their top players. Then we can rinse and repeat in different areas around the country and plant seeds for our kind of network effect, is what we saw through our initial launch with GBB. So what we did is we took the partner trainers that were onboarding, and we would do a collaboration post with them on Instagram. Somebody else in that city would see that trainer's post on Instagram, and they would download, and they would rinse and repeat from there. So all of our downloads to date are through 100% organic traction in the basketball community. So that let us know that we had a product that the basketball trainers were interested in. Some of the competition that I mentioned was Coach Up, high fees for trainers, no map function, not basketball specific, 3 to 4 day payout. Same issues with websites. You've got Acuity, which does handle scheduling capabilities, but it's not really geared for sports or basketball in any way. And also cost for the trainer in this situation. And there's a new platform, Training Hub, that actually just came out of stealth mode about 2 weeks ago, which is a partnership of Ben Simmons from the Nets. They did decide to go multi-sport, so that makes them a little bit different. What's different about U-Train is we're free. We have no monthly fee, no download fee, no annual fees for the trainer. So it's a 100% free platform for the basketball trainer to use, and adding $1.50 on top of the set trainer fee for the consumer. Some feedback on our beta launch. We had over 100 plus downloads in the first month, and we caught some traction. We did a collaboration post with the Hezi God, who has over 250,000 followers on his Instagram alone. We did a collaboration post there, and we got a lot of downloads in California where he's located, and that's how we started to dive into the network effect and rinse and repeating that in different areas around the country. To date, we've got 451 downloads in 25 states and counting, and we really learned a lot through that beta launch. It was slightly premature, so we had to learn a lot of things very quickly, but it was good. We got a lot of feedback from the trainers, and we have our solutions coming up, such as Apple Pay, PayPal, really just making the payment and onboarding less friction. It's removing all the friction from finding a session on the map, one-touch payment, and making it much more simple. So right now we have our own Stripe payment processor. So we want to add the Apple Pay, Google Pay, and PayPal integration on top of that to make it a little more simple. And so our ask today is for you guys to provide some feedback on our deck here and gearing up for some investors. And that's all I got.
Awesome, thank you, Daniel. Give him a hand. So just to repeat what he just said, so they're at the stage where they are fundraising, and so this is his pitch deck, this is pitch for investors, and so he's seeking feedback on this. Do you have any insight, anything he's missing, anything, just any feedback for him as they go to market for investors? And I'm going to use the mic for the people online.
Yeah, I noticed some statistics on women, but I didn't see if this was for women coaches, women basketball players. I didn't see any pictures of women. So that would be my suggestion if women are involved in this.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Be sure to add some pictures in there. Absolutely, it is for everyone who's interested in basketball.
That's really great feedback.
I just had a question about, are you vetting the trainers? Is there like a tryout to make sure they actually know what they're doing, or how do you ensure quality?
Yeah, that's a great question. There's two parts to that. There is a Social Security background check. So if you are a sex offender or youth offender, there's no way you'll be able to be on the platform. So we do that before you even get started, before you can ever post a pin or accept money. And then there's a rating system, right? So assuming that you're not one of those having that issue and you're able to get on the platform, then it'll be revealed pretty quickly whether or not you're a high-level trainer or not. And the good news is there are trainers for different kids at different ability levels, right? So you may not be a super talented trainer, but that you might be great with kids and getting them started with the game of basketball. So that's why we have the review system on it.
Hi, do you have the ability to support the trainers as freelancers with 1099s to support their tax filing requirements for that income?
Yeah, absolutely. Stripe will actually pop that out automatically once you cross the $10,000 threshold. So if you move more than $10,000 through Stripe on Utrain, it'll spit out a 1099 automatically for you.
Good morning, great presentation, thank you. What is your exit? What is your goal as a founder?
That's a great question. At the moment, our goal is to raise capital so that we can hire development in-house and fix all the functionality and all of the friction that we have at the moment.
So said another way, what is the liquidity event that investors could expect if they invest in you in an early stage?
That would be a great question for our CFO that I would have to get back to you on.
So that's for you as a founder.
Correct.
Yeah, as a founder, you'll want to be able to tell the investors, what do you want to do with this at the end of the day? Do you want to sell it? Is it an acquisition? And if so, what are those targets?
Thank you.
So as a parent of 3 kids, all interested in different sports, I know you're saying you're focused on basketball because that's your community, that's who you know, it's what your board knows, et cetera. The amount of money spent on baseball is, I can't imagine I'm not below average from what I saw up there. So I would just encourage you, it doesn't seem like that big of a leap to go to having people who can spread this to the baseball, the soccer, et cetera, and then you expand your community. Mom and dad could be one site to get 3 or 4 sports for their kids, coaches, if they're in to where they're trying to play. I understand being focused on what you know, but like it's a massive opportunity on the upside. And I don't see anything in what you've shown me that precludes that, except maybe people to get you started in those other sports. And some of them live around here.
Yeah, absolutely. It has been an ongoing conversation, to say the least, in-house and through this fundraising ordeal. But yeah, it is something we're having open discussions about for sure. It would be as simple as adding a new line of code, adding a category on the profile, and opening up the marketplace. We think it'll happen organically, right? Because of the value proposition. There's actually nothing special or unique about Utrain that makes it for basketball, right? So we feel that value proposition of trainers, and this has already happened through our beta launch, but you're going to tell someone else. If you're a basketball trainer, you're going to tell a baseball trainer about this new platform that I don't even have to pay for, and I can manage all my stuff. And it's got a map. I got 2 new clients this month from them just finding me, right? So definitely an open discussion. Thank you.
Good morning. I was wondering if you had considered allowing people to buy packages of training sessions, so we could get more revenue upfront and guarantee that someone's going to be on the app for a longer period of time. Is that something you've thought about?
Yeah, absolutely. We've got packages coming. Currently, we have individuals that can be set as reoccurring. So if you want to have your Tuesday, Thursdays, it could be one pin that you set as reoccurring that'll auto place on the map. But that is different than a package deal. So most likely what we'll do is add a slightly larger transaction fee, and that will cover all of them, if that makes sense. But to be 100% honest, we haven't really gotten there. All of the functionality is based on the individual transaction at the moment.
I'm going to ask 2 questions, so Hope doesn't have to come back to me. The first one is the NIL reference. What is the revenue opportunity there? And then secondly, I understand you appreciate the sports concentration for the application, but are there any non-sports applications? Because I'm a business coach and I'm thinking I could use something like this.
Yeah, to be honest, we haven't thought about diving outside of sports at all. We believe there are CRMs and there are things that are more complicated and have more functionality that would be better suited for managing a more sophisticated business, right? So we wouldn't necessarily want to pivot and try to tackle that market as well. And on the NIL side is very exciting, right? So we have a P&L go-to-market, but to put it short, you would expect about 1 to 5 downloads for every level 1, 5 to 20 for every level 2, and anywhere from 25 to 50 level 3 trainers onboarding per partner trainer. And same thing flip on the NIL side for athletes, because each one of those trainers is already having these go sessions. They're going to bring their athletes on with them. Then you have extra functionality with the map just to make it more visible, right? So if you're someone who's never worked with that coach before, you might be able to find their pin on the map that you wouldn't have been able to find before.
One last question online. Any intentions on partnering with AAU and private sports leagues?
Yeah, we've had some open conversations with AAU West Coast. I'm really familiar with one of the higher ups there, but really at the moment, what we've been looking for is to fix our functionality. We've got a countless number of circle backs at this point of people who are really interested and are looking to use U-Train. So that's what really kind of sprung us into capital raise mode, is to we feel like we have orders for our clothing that we're not able to have the inventory yet. Essentially, is where we are at this moment.
Daniel, how can people get in touch with you if they have additional thoughts, questions, etc.?
Yeah, I'm on Instagram, Daniel Ginsberg 11. My email is Daniel Ginsberg, GINSBERG, and that's the number 11, not letters. And my email is Daniel Ginsberg at utrain.app. Daniel Ginsberg at utrain.app.
Awesome. Cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, thank you very much. Now we are excited to move on to our Crash and Learn speaker. Very excited to have Arlene Lee here. So let me tell you a little bit about her background. So she grew up in northern New York State and is a Cornell grad. So at Cornell is where she met her husband and actually moved to Charlottesville in '91, I believe. She became the CEO of Lee Construction Group in December of 2015. The company was actually started in 1939, and Arlene is actually representing 4 generations of business owners with this company. The construction firm began dedicated to building and restoring fine and historic homes, and then in the 1950s moved on to commercial work, and then the 90s has really restructured in the sense that they've spun off several divisions. Their thumbprints can be found all throughout Charlottesville. Historic renovations of Monticello, the Rotunda. They actually laid the bricks creating the downtown mall. Very cool. And built City Hall, and just really thousands of projects in the area. She is also very involved in the community and clearly has a heart for helping others. So just a handful of the boards she's on. She's actually the incoming chair for the Virginia Council of CEOs. She is going to be the first woman chair in 2024 for the Associated General Contractors of Virginia. She's on the state board for the Virginia Chamber, and she's on the local chamber board, United Way board, Haven, Autism Sanctuary board, and just a number of others. So you're definitely going to be hearing from somebody, like I said, of great impact. She has 3 adult children, 2 boys and a girl, and her youngest is actually going to be coming on into business, which would be the 5th generation. So pretty excited about that. So please help me welcome Arlene Lee. Thank you. Right.
I'm gonna do this a little bit differently than I normally do. And I'm gonna talk about some things I don't normally talk about. And I think it's important because it gives you perspective of my journey as a CEO, but also the journey of our company and where we're going through all of this. So I became CEO in 2015 as a result of a tragedy. It was a jump-in moment. We all have those in life. How we respond to them makes all the difference. You know, I had a lot of options. I could have sold the company. I definitely had people interested in that. I could have hired somebody to run it, but I did it. And if you know me, you might have thought, well, of course she did that. But you might have also said, she did what? I'm a serial entrepreneur. I have had many small businesses that started coming right out of college. They all look like they have nothing to do with the construction industry. I have been a horse trainer. I have been a manufacturer of custom horse blankets and dog coats before dog coats were a thing. I have been a co-director in a cotillion for 18 years. I'm an indie publisher and I have 6 books published in the knitting industry. And I am half of 1% of women, sorry, let me start this again. In construction, half of 1% are women CEOs. So that's my company in terms of my colleagues. Our company, and thank you for the introduction on that, has been around for a long time. We have succeeded because we have changed with the times. We've evolved, we've grown, and we've pioneered. Our founding values are pioneering, honorable, professional, and what that means to us, the pioneering piece particularly, is that we're looking to be better tomorrow than today, and do better today than yesterday. And that's quite something to say when we've been here for almost 84 years. But I like to think of us as an 84-year-old startup, which sounds kind of odd, but it feels true, and I'll get into that in a minute. One of the things that I want to say about this journey is that I didn't come up through the construction industry. I didn't come up through corporate America. I'm a serial entrepreneur. And so what that means is that we've always done it this way. It's not my vocabulary. So it means that I came to this without a box. I came to this without expectations of what it should look like. And I came to it asking the hard questions and the why. And I firmly believe if you ask better questions, you're going to get better answers. So what does it look like if you have no box? It means your team has to answer a lot of questions, and some of them are uncomfortable. And yeah, sorry, I just forgot to say. So an interesting thing about grief is that for me, grief was like a veil that kind of shielded fear. And so if you're going into something without fear and with no box, all things are possible. And I think that's important because you don't hesitate, right? You just jump. And most of the time, when you do what your gut tells you to, it's the right thing. For us, you know, I didn't come to this position expecting to do this job in my life. But I did learn from my late husband, and I learned a lot over the 28 years from him. And I know that he, we would not have made it through the Great Recession without him. But we didn't get to see what kind of a leader he would be in our role now. But that's where I get to be his hands and his feet and his eyes and his heart in this company. And it's really important to me because I get to be part of this chain of leaders that's made a difference in our community, that's poured ourselves into this community. We're servant leaders, and we're going to continue to do that. And one of the things that we do that through is by being continual learners. In the last 7 years, we have started numerous programs in our business focusing on learning. If you're not a learner, don't be in our company. It's not a good fit. So we started an apprenticeship program. We started a young leaders program. We started a foundational leadership program. And we're pouring just education into every corner of the community and our companies. You know, there's a lot of talk about workforce shortage right now, and a lot of people complaining about it. Well, the construction industry, this hit us a while ago. And I don't believe in complaining about things, I believe in doing things. And so we jumped in and we did start an apprenticeship program. And in the community and in the state and in the country, the talk is we have to get these high school students. We have to get their parents on board. You know, you don't have to go to college. But the reality is that most of the people coming into our apprenticeship programs are not high schoolers. You know, we didn't need to start talking to the middle schoolers. They're 19 to 31-year-olds that just want a chance. They haven't been able to find their pathway, and they need some support doing it. And if you can lay out, this is what you do, this is how you're going to get there, they're all in. And so when we talk about this workforce shortage, yeah, there is one, but really it's an education shortage. And if we can rethink how we're looking at that, then we can make something good happen. And our first students will be coming, they're starting their 4th year. So at the end of this year, they'll earn their state journeyman certificates. Our program is registered with the Department of Labor, and it's nationally accredited. So when they take classes with us, they actually get college credits, so they can transfer that to PBCC or other schools. And it makes a big difference in their lives. So pouring into our teams isn't just helpful for our businesses, it's the right thing to do. And it becomes that attraction piece that attracts employees to it. So, you know, this workforce shortage, I've not had any trouble hiring people. They're just flocking to us. And we're really grateful for that, because in the last few years, we've almost tripled in revenue. And, you know, we're going to continue growing it and probably close to that rate for the next couple of years. And I'm really grateful for that. So one of the things, when I first became CEO, there were certainly individuals in our organization that felt like maybe they should be the CEO, and that they've been in the industry, they've been in the company a long time. And it's really interesting, because one of them said to me once, "Well, there's an elephant in the room." So I knew the elephant he was referring to was that. And my response was, there's an elephant in the room, but do we see the same elephant? And so often in our world, and if you look in our whole world right now, or families or within ourselves, that conflict piece, you know, we have a conflict problem in our country right now. And so do we see the same elephant? And oftentimes we don't. You know, there's an Indian proverb about these 6 blind men, maybe you guys have heard it, and they're all trying to describe what's in front of them. And one person is feeling these massive round trunks like a tree, and the legs. Another person is feeling a long skinny thing, and someone else says, no, I feel this big flat leathery piece, and so forth. And they're all feeling different parts of the same elephant. And so do we see the same problem? And so when you take this into business, what does that look like? In every situation, there's different angles to it. There's different components, there's different pieces that we need to identify. And so one of the things that we started doing was we do conflict resolution training through our organization. We started at the top, and then we were working our way down, you know, even to the field crew levels, because we want to take care of those elephants when they're tiny. You know, we can put a bow on them and send them out to play. You know, we don't want them to be a whole herd of elephants, because when you take care of problems when they're little, it makes a big difference. And it's been very interesting, because as we go into this training approach, we all follow conflict resolution in the way that we learn as children and families. So if you think about what that looked like in your family, I know in mine, I grew up with it was either conflict or avoidance, or competitive or avoidance. And so learning about this was really eye-opening for me, about, wait, there's other tools. And so we teach all those tools, and the right tools for the right situation. And it's had a really big impact. You know, a lot of construction companies, you'll see people yelling on job sites, you know, and demanding things. And that is not how we work. We talk about things. We work them out ahead of time. We deal with them while they're small. And so, think about your own businesses. Where are your elephants? And do you see the same elephants? So, since I'm talking about what it was these early days of becoming a CEO, early on, maybe about a month in, I was having a really rough night. A lot of nightmares, a lot of tossing and turning. Did sleep, but was not a good night. And I get up in the morning, and I walk into my bathroom, and I turn on the light, and lit up all over the mirror in my bathroom, in my handwriting, but I don't remember writing it, are the words, be bold, be fearless, and be you. And I think it was a really powerful message. And when you make that kind of a transition with the companies that I'm running, as a woman in a very male-dominated industry, it is really powerful. And so those moments when as leaders that we kind of say, wait a minute, is this the right thing? Or man, I want to do this, but I don't know. It's helpful to have a personal mantra. And I don't know what yours are, but I do know that they make a difference. And I mentioned that grief for me was like a quote for being fearless. And so that be fearless, that leads right into that. And what will you do if there's no fear? What will you step into? The opportunities are endless because most of us hold ourselves back by fear of failure or fear of success or fear of making the wrong choice or fear of hurting someone's feelings or fear of, oh my goodness, if I make that decision, we might have to lay off half the people. We are all looking out for our teams and their families, and then it goes beyond that, right? Because it's all of the vendors that we work with and all of the subcontractors and other companies that we partner with. So our sphere of influence has these ripples out into the community. So it's easy to be controlled by fear, but if you can be fearless in what you do, the impact can have ripples that really don't end. So the other part about that is to be you. And we all think we know ourselves, but we might not really know ourselves. And it takes time to do the hard work and to find out where our blind spots are. And as leaders, we have to understand where those blind spots are because they impact our decisions. And one of the things that we started doing in our organization, because I came to this in a different route than most people, the need for the lessons in leadership, it happened very quickly. My first year, we had all of these crazy situations, and I would turn to the team and say, Chris never talked about this, and they would say, that's a once in a career situation. And I would say, why is it all happening my first year? So it's a bit of a crash course. So you really need to know yourself. And so we have done a lot of training with different sorts of, some of the personality tests. They don't tell you everything, but they are kind of indicators and cues to ways that your brain works or you're processing information. And there's no one that's better than the others, but I know as an organization, we particularly like strength finders. Leaning into your strengths is a big deal instead of spending your time on your weaknesses. And so when I started the Young Leaders Program, this was something that we did throughout the organization, or throughout that group, and then later I did it through our middle level management group and our leadership groups. But it's very interesting how often individuals had never really thought about what their strengths are. And they can't put words to how they handle conflict, or they can't put words to, why they're doing certain things. And so it's been really valuable in our organization to have this common language about how we're approaching something. Are you an Enneagram 8 or 6 or 5? What does that mean? And so we're talking to each other in better ways that support each other. And we're finding better ways to work as teams because we're understanding each other better. And so knowing yourself is really, really important. I believe that leadership happens at all levels. We train that way throughout our organization. And you first learn to lead by learning to lead yourself. And so that's where the foundation is laid. And in our Young Leaders Foundation, our Young Leaders Program, we built it on 4 pillars. And the first pillar is know yourself. I've been talking about that. The second pillar is know your industry. And so we talk a lot of different subjects that they need to know to be successful in the industry. And they might be things like, sometimes it's financial, sometimes it's risk management, because there's a whole lot of that in business. We talk about things like contracts, we talk about negotiations, and it could go on and on, but those kinds of things that they need to know, and they need to start learning the language of those and the thinking of them, in their 20s. And because when we're making decisions at the higher levels, and they don't understand why, or we decide something at the senior leadership level, but the risk management at the junior level doesn't exist, we have a problem, right? So we need to have that message be consistent throughout. Our third pillar is vision. So now you know yourself, you understand your industry, and now you're going to go out into the world. What does that look like? So we train a lot of soft skills. We train public speaking. We train negotiation could fall in that pillar depending on the group. But there's a number of different things that we're looking at, and we encourage them to get involved in volunteerism and opportunities to learn and to practice the leadership skills that they're developing. And then our fourth pillar is initiative, because you don't get anywhere without it. And they each do some sort of a project, whether it's within the company or building their career, or whether it's personal, or whether it's community-based, but we encourage all of that. And then, so I guess growing out of that is the point that we all need to stretch ourselves. And today I'm stretching myself because I am not a born public speaker. It is not in my wheelhouse. I was so shy in school that I would count the number of words I would say in one hand in a day. My record's 5. And I normally write out the entire script. You don't really need to know that, but reading marks included, so I don't pass out. So today, this is my first speech. We're throwing away the script, and maybe some of it hit mark, maybe some of it didn't, but that's okay. It is what it is. But stretch yourself, and in your business, right? We're constantly needing to shift and adjust and to see things new. And for us, the pandemic was one of those moments, right? So when I became CEO in 2015, our original company, building company, was looking at 75% of employees retiring in 5 years. That lined up at the beginning of COVID. So it's been an interesting 2 years. And then the perspective on that is I broke my ankle right before COVID hit. So this all happened from my living room couch. We went into COVID, and a lot of changes happened very quickly for us, particularly in that company. And people that wanted to retire, retired. We made some strategic changes that needed to be made, and we brought on a new president, a new senior leadership team in that entire company, and started anew. And so when I talk about being an 84-year-old startup, that company literally is an 84-year-old startup. But with the experience of 4 generations and the knowledge of how to do it, and just a rock star team that I would not have gotten without COVID. So the question is, where do you see your opportunities? These challenges that we're going through right now in this world, there are so many opportunities in them. And this company that we're rebuilding today has 2.5 to 3 times as many employees as it did pre-COVID. Its revenue is triple to pre-COVID. It will double again next year. And they are doing the right things. And they're doing it with a heart, they're doing it with kindness, and they're doing it with just pouring a tremendous amount of effort into learning and bringing each other along. And I'm just really proud of them. And it's exciting to see. So where are your opportunities? Sometimes those opportunities you can identify where your biggest struggles, right? That company, I would have called it a problem child at one point because they didn't want to go the same direction as the rest of our companies. Now they do. I was able to hire a team with the same philosophy and the same approach, and we're running. and we're collaborating and we're amplifying each other between the companies. And that's what you want to see happening in something. You want to see a synergy happening. Well, that's all I really have, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
It was great, and I know it was out of your comfort zone, but you crushed that. Any questions for Arlene?
Good morning. My name is Rob Coward. I'm with Onumos. And I just want to say thank you very much for getting us to where we are. We're going to turn the plant on after Thanksgiving. If it wasn't for you, we wouldn't be able to. So very much, Susan.
That's awesome. We're so glad to be part of that.
You stuck with us through a whole bunch of restarts. Thank you. So a little bit of, so I spent a lot of years at Xerox, and I resonate incredibly positively with everything you said. I mean, it was spot on, and the fact that it was top of mind is amazing. The one piece that I'm wondering, because I saw it at Xerox, I'm not sure from experience of mine, is that how do you hire for success, right? Your folks, they actually live and emulate the culture you just described, but how do you filter and I don't mean to be harsh, but get the right people, because terminating is tough. What's the secret sauce?
The secret sauce.
You do a great job.
Thank you. So one of the things that I asked early on was, how do you be that team that people want to be on? There's always that sports team that everybody wants to be on. I did study, I'm not a sports person, but I did study some of those things. I looked at, there's a book called The Captain Class. It's pretty fascinating if you have a chance to read it. But how do you be that team? And then our interview process is probably non-typical. Because I didn't come up through corporate America, I don't have a typical interview style. And I ask questions that they don't usually get asked. And I've actually had people say, wow, I learned something about myself through your interview process. And so I'm looking for questions that are like, tell you something about the person that's not their script. And if you can get them talking and comfortable, you find out a whole lot. I have a little bit of a reputation for making them cry. And the reason is because in their interviews, I create this space of authentic comfort. And oftentimes things will just come tumbling out. And so you really can get a sense of who they are as a person. I'm looking for learners. That's one thing I do really want to hear, because if you're not a learner, you're not going to fit, because we do a lot of learning and it's continual. But so think about those questions that are really non-traditional that might give you a little bit of insight.
There's a question for Arlene.
Arlene, this is John Aker. I'm online. Can you hear me?
Yes.
You're a wonderful speaker. You're very credible. I really enjoyed your talk. And I think you're an inspirational leader. And I ran a company for 22 years. And I think knowing all the people and having that eye-to-eye relationship with as many as that are possible or that want to is very important. And I find your story fascinating. I wish the audio was better. I missed a few bits on the way, but maybe I'll review the recording if I can get access to it. But thank you so much for bringing your story. It was captivating. Thank you. And you're a great public speaker.
I'm trying to grow.
So you're in construction, and the company came from New York, or started in New York, or did you start here, or wasn't quite sure the connection between Virginia and New York?
Oh, gotcha. No, the company started here in 1939. I grew up in New York, but even from the first date with my late husband, he said, if you want a future with me, you have to move to Charlottesville. So I followed him to Charlottesville. It's his company. It's his family's business.
Okay, I understand. I'm sorry, the audio was a little choppy online here, but fascinating. Okay. What's the name of the company again?
We have a parent company and 5 subsidiaries, and then 2 additional divisions. So the parent company's name is Lee Construction Group. The oldest company goes by Lee Building Company, formerly R.U.E. and Son.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question about the person who said there was an elephant in the room. Are they still with the company, or how did you handle that?
They are not with the company.
I'm assuming you did not see the same elephant as he did.
We did not see the same elephant.
Arlene, I agree with the person online. This was excellent. I really enjoyed this, took some notes, and it was great. I'm curious about education, what you do for your own personal development. If you have any recommendations, whether podcasts, books you're currently reading, like what helps you to stay motivated to keep learning, and what are some of the fresh things that you're looking into for personal development?
Yeah, that's a good question. I think I kind of go in a lot of different directions. I think one thing that was really helpful to me was my late husband was a member of the Virginia Council of CEOs. And early on, that was something that I looked at, and they accepted me into it. And so that's an organization that does a lot of peer learning, as well as bringing in speakers and workshops. And that has made a really big difference for me to be around people that get it, that know how hard this is, that are asking them hard questions over and over and over, and that are wanting to work on their business, not just in their business. With that being said, learning it just comes from a lot of different directions. So I don't think I can point you to one. I think it's where your heart leads you and what you're struggling with in the day. I think there are times that you do want to bring in a coach, and that's a good thing. But knowing who your third party options are is really, really, really important.
I know that you have to go. Yeah. So I'm gonna let her off the hook. She has to be in Richmond, but we really appreciate you. And I run these events, or I help run these events. And I will say that I don't always find seasoned female founders and entrepreneurs. So if you know any, please, let's continue to talk, and I'll take your girls, but we really appreciate you coming in for sure. So give her a hand. All right, well, as we wrap up, we do wrap up with announcements. And just to tell you what that is our partnering organizations are going to talk about events. And then you can share if there's any upcoming events you want this group of entrepreneurs to know about, or if your company is hiring, you can actually share that as well. So let's start with having Hannah talk about CIC, Community Investment Collaborative. And she's also going to talk about the SBDC.
Hi, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Hannah Deal, and I'm the Operations Coordinator at Community Investment Collaborative. We are a nonprofit that helps small businesses find the perfect spot. We help small businesses and entrepreneurs, and we do that primarily through mentoring, financing, and education. So one of our main offerings is a 16-week workshop that we hold twice per year. And applications for that workshop actually just opened up a couple weeks ago. So if you or anyone else is interested in attending that workshop, you can learn everything you need to learn about running a business. You can find more information about that on our website. And we also have mentoring opportunities. We have a financial management program. We do office hours, which is free one-on-one counseling each month. And there's, we have a collaborative space as well, co-working space. So if anyone is looking for something like that, that's really casual, you don't have to pay much for it, but it's really fun, check us out. And so I'm also going to speak for the SBDC, which is the Small Business Development Center. And they work very closely with us, and they specialize in free one-on-one technical counseling. So they have about 15 different advisors right now, I think, who all specialize in different areas. So if anyone is interested in setting up one of those meetings, you can go onto their website and choose request for counseling, fill in a quick application, and then they'll let you know which counselor would be best suited to meet with you. And then I'm just going to double check my notes. pretty much all I have to talk about for SBDC. They're slowing down for the rest of the year. But they do hold a lot of seminars and webinars. So I also recommend you check out their calendar of events because they have a lot of good stuff on there. And the last thing I wanted to add is, I feel like I say this every time, so sorry, but if you can try your best to remember to register for the event, that would be awesome. I won't pull any of you out mostly because it would take too long, but that just helps us keep track of you know, how many people are coming in and out. So that's pretty much it for me. Thank you.
She did not call all y'all out, but she called all y'all out. I'm Tracy Green, Executive Director for the Charlottesville Business Innovation Council. Yeah. And I wanted to thank all of the participants that helped put together the tech tour last week. It was our 18th annual experience, and it was very different from any one of them that we've ever done because it was post-COVID-esque. And remote distributed workforces has become an incredibly popular thing within the tech businesses. So there were many businesses who have participated in the past. We take upwards of 400 middle school and high school students and we tour them around to several different local tech companies so they can envision themselves as the next wave of entrepreneurs and founders and technologists here in their own backyard. And there were many companies that wanted to participate because they have cool things going on, but they didn't have a physical location where there was critical mass. So we had fewer participants. We also invited in Northport for the first time this year, and they provided their site as a hosting organization. And from there, many of their tenants participated in the tech tour because they have physical spaces. And that was really phenomenal. It made a great partnership. We put out a newsletter every week, and that newsletter is intended to be a bit of a digest of what's happening in this tech innovation ecosystem. So if you're not on that mailing list, please do go to ciegelinnovation.org. And there you can sign up for our newsletter. You go right to the bottom, the footer, put your email address in. There's also a membership page. And if you're currently not a member, I highly encourage you to do that. It is one of the revenue streams that keeps us going and keeping the lights on at the end of the year. We are a nonprofit council. We've been around since 1997. We partner with a lot of great organizations, and I can't underscore enough what Hannah was saying about the CIC, which is really focused a lot on lifestyle and Main Street businesses, and our sweet spot really is technology and innovation-based businesses. But the SBDC is an incredible partner for anybody who's a founder who's looking to get advice and counsel. And that's one of the organizations that when you come to me and ask me for support, that's one of the resources I will send you to. We have an asset in our community called the Hub. The Hub CVA stands for Central Virginia.org. And on that, you can look for all the resources that are out there in the ecosystem to support you. Where can you find capital? Where can you find consultants? Where can you find physical space? Where can you find advisors? All of these organizations and nonprofits, we call ourselves entrepreneurial support organizations, are on there, and all the things that we do for founders and startups and growth-based companies is on there. So if you're not already on the Hub, go over there to the hubcva.org and set yourself up with a profile. And you can also find each other because you have profiles online, similar to LinkedIn. We're also going to be a little quiet over the next few months, but I have a really cool event coming up in January, and it's going to be around financial disasters, basically. So financial fraud and criminal things that happen with finance. We're going to call it Let's Talk Dirty. So look for an announcement on that, and we'll see you when we see you. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah. All right, so is your company hiring? And I probably won't give you the mic, I'll just have you speak loud. You can stand up and project. And I can repeat it if you want. Oh, okay. Project managers. What type of industry? Marketing. Parking. Okay, commercial parking, looking for project managers. Do they need to have that industry background or? Okay. Okay, so project management, see, what is your name? Carmen, see Carmen in the back, if you know anyone. I have a bunch on the list. Does anyone else know any companies hiring? Are you? Okay. Yep. So jobs are on the Hub CVA, and then the CVIX newsletter does periodically post them. I'm a recruiter by profession. My company is Ce-2 Capital Partners, and I'm going to list a handful of jobs. If you know anyone, please send them my way. I do pay a monetary thank you for a successful placement. But my two time sensitive ones, I'm looking for a digital marketing manager with at least 2 years of healthcare experience. It doesn't have to be current, but at some point you've done some healthcare marketing, digital marketing manager. And for a financial firm, I'm looking for what's called client services associate, but somebody that's basically administrative and has supported financial advisors. Outside of that, I'm actually also looking for a financial advisor with a book of business that maybe wants to make a change. And then enrichment, helping a company that is, sets up tours for schools, some administrative type of roles. It'd be a great, role for a transitioning teacher, for example, or somebody who's been in customer service. So a couple roles there, but you need to be enrichment based, so if you know anybody. And then also kind of a sensitive executive assistant, if you will. It's a pretty good opportunity. You have to be strong character, long-term minded, etc. So if you know anyone that fits any of those, please reach out to me. And finally, we are not meeting in December, as I said earlier. I think I'll put it around Christmas week. We take that month off for that. But we will be back here in January. Thank you to the Code Building for continuing to host us into early next year. Remember to always enter these doors here and bring your friends and register online at ce2.squarespace.com. Okay? All right. Have a great rest of your year, and we'll see you in 2023.